Most women believe that the more they give, the more they will be valued. They believe that constant attention creates closeness, that immediate replies create connection, that always being available strengthens attraction. At first, this seems logical. After all, in most areas of life, giving more produces better results. More effort creates more success. More work creates more rewards. But desire does not follow the same rules. In fact, human nature often works in the opposite direction. The more easily something is obtained, the less valuable it begins to feel. This is one of the oldest psychological laws ever observed. Throughout history, people have been fascinated not by what they fully possess, but by what remains just beyond their reach. What is mysterious captures attention. What is uncertain occupies the mind. What cannot be completely controlled becomes difficult to forget. This is why many women unknowingly destroy attraction without realizing it. They reveal everything too quickly. They become completely predictable. They make their feelings, intentions, and availability constantly accessible. And while this may create comfort, it rarely creates desire. The human mind is naturally drawn toward what it must work to understand. When there is no mystery left to uncover, curiosity slowly fades. When there is no challenge involved, emotional investment decreases. This does not mean playing games or becoming cold. It means understanding that attraction needs space to breathe. A person cannot miss what never leaves. They cannot wonder about what is always explained. And they cannot crave what is constantly available. The hidden law most women never understand is simple. The goal is not to give less affection. The goal is to stop giving away every part of yourself at once. Because desire is not created by possession. Desire is created by anticipation. And the moment someone feels there is always more to discover about you, the process of wanting more begins. One of the greatest misconceptions about attraction is the belief that predictability creates desire. Most people assume that if a man always knows what you are thinking, what you are feeling, and what you will do next, he will feel more connected to you. But human psychology tells a different story. The mind is not naturally captivated by what it fully understands. It becomes fascinated by what remains partially hidden. This is why mystery has always been one of the most powerful forces in human attraction. Robert Greene observed that people are drawn toward those who cannot be easily defined. The moment someone believes they have completely figured you out, curiosity begins to disappear. The chase ends. The imagination becomes inactive. But when parts of your personality remain unexpected, something different happens. His mind continues searching for answers. He begins wondering what you are thinking. He starts paying closer attention to your words, your actions, and even your silence. This is not manipulation. It is the natural effect of uncertainty. Human beings are emotionally stimulated by discovery. We enjoy solving puzzles, uncovering secrets, and exploring what feels slightly out of reach. The same principle applies to attraction. When every emotion is immediately revealed and every thought is constantly explained, there is little left for the imagination to explore. Mystery creates mental engagement. It encourages anticipation. It keeps emotional energy alive. This does not mean becoming distant or pretending to be someone you are not. It means maintaining parts of your life that belong only to you. Have passions that do not revolve around him. Pursue goals he does not fully understand. Allow moments when your attention is focused elsewhere. The most captivating people are not those who demand attention. They are those whose lives naturally generate curiosity. Because in the end, emotional addiction is rarely created by constant availability. It is created when someone feels that no matter how much they know about you, there is always something more left to discover. Most women are taught that keeping a man's attention requires constant effort. They believe they must always be available, always supportive, and always ready to reassure him. Whenever he seeks attention, they provide it. Whenever he wants validation, they give it. Whenever he pulls away, they work even harder to bring him back. At first, this may seem like love, but over time, it often produces the opposite effect. Human beings rarely value what is given endlessly without effort. The moment something becomes guaranteed, appreciation begins to decline. Robert Greene understood a timeless principle of human nature. What is always present eventually becomes invisible. People become conscious of value when they risk losing access to it. This is where strategic absence becomes powerful. Strategic absence does not mean ignoring him. It does not mean playing manipulative games or creating unnecessary drama. It simply means refusing to make your attention constantly available. When every message receives an immediate response, when every request receives instant compliance, and when every moment of your life revolves around his needs, your presence starts to feel predictable, and predictability weakens desire. The most captivating individuals understand the importance of maintaining their own world. They have goals, they have passions, they have priorities that exist beyond the relationship. As a result, their attention feels valuable because it is not given freely to everyone at every moment. When a man realizes that your time must be earned rather than assumed, something changes psychologically. He becomes more aware of your presence. He notices your absence. He begins investing more energy into maintaining the connection. Because the truth is simple. People often take for granted what they believe will always be there, but they pay attention to what they fear losing. The power of strategic absence lies in creating space for appreciation to grow. Because attraction is not strengthened when someone has unlimited access to you. It is strengthened when your presence remains valuable enough to be missed. One of the most misunderstood truths about attraction is this. People do not become attached because of what they receive. They become attached because of what they invest. Most women believe that giving more love, more attention, and more affection will automatically create a stronger bond. They assume that if they provide enough emotional support, enough care, and enough devotion, a man will naturally become more committed. But human psychology often follows a different path. Robert Greene frequently observed that people place greater value on things they have worked to obtain. What comes easily is enjoyed. What requires effort is treasured. This principle appears everywhere in human behavior. People value achievements they struggled to earn. They protect investments they worked hard to build. And they become emotionally attached to things into which they have poured their time, energy, and attention. Relationships are no different. When a woman constantly gives without requiring any emotional investment in return, she unintentionally removes one of the strongest forces that create attachment. There is no challenge, no pursuit, no sense of accomplishment. As a result, the connection may feel pleasant, but it rarely becomes deeply rooted. The strongest bonds are formed when both people contribute, when he invests his time to see you, when he makes an effort to understand you, when he works to earn your trust, when he demonstrates consistency through his actions rather than his words. Every investment creates psychological ownership. The more effort someone contributes, the more important the relationship becomes in their mind. This is why the goal is not to impress him endlessly. The goal is to give him opportunities to invest. Allow him to initiate sometimes. Allow him to show effort. Allow him to prove that he values your presence. Because attachment does not grow from receiving everything without effort. It grows from working for something meaningful. In the end, people rarely become obsessed with what was handed to them. They become emotionally attached to what they had to earn. And the more a man invests in the connection, the more difficult it becomes for him to walk away from it. Throughout history, philosophers, leaders, and psychologists have all observed the same fascinating truth. The human mind is rarely controlled by what it has. It is controlled by what it still wants. Most people assume desire ends once something is obtained. They believe that possession creates satisfaction, and satisfaction creates peace. But human nature is far more complicated. In reality, the mind often becomes most obsessed with what remains unfinished. What is fully understood loses its mystery. What is completely possessed loses some of its excitement. But what remains unresolved continues to occupy attention. Robert Greene understood that desire survives through anticipation. The moment people feel there is nothing left to discover, their emotional intensity begins to fade. This is why unfinished stories captivate us, why unanswered questions remain in our thoughts, why certain people stay in our minds long after they have left the room. The brain naturally seeks completion. When something feels incomplete, the mind keeps returning to it again and again, searching for resolution. This psychological tendency is one of the strongest forces behind attraction. Many women unknowingly destroy this process by revealing everything too quickly. They remove all mystery. They provide constant reassurance. They make themselves completely available emotionally and mentally. As a result, curiosity slowly disappears. The imagination has nothing left to explore. But when a woman maintains her own identity, her own ambitions, and her own sense of mystery, something different happens. She becomes impossible to fully possess. No matter how much a man learns about her, there always seems to be another layer beneath the surface. Another story, another thought, another part of her world waiting to be discovered. And that is where lasting fascination is born. The dangerous psychology of wanting more is not based on manipulation. It is based on understanding human nature. People are drawn toward what continues to inspire curiosity. They become emotionally invested in what keeps them engaged. And they remain fascinated by what they never feel they completely own. Because in the end, desire does not survive through certainty. It survives through anticipation. And the moment someone believes there is always more to discover about you, wanting more becomes a habit of the mind rather than a temporary feeling.